All right, it's time that we move on to the next session. It's something that I've always wanted to ask. Now, before pandemic, before COVID, everybody used to go to the office. But suddenly when COVID hit, everybody was at a new workplace. How many of you were working from home? Show of hands. Or at least pretend working from home. Okay, no one. Very nice. So the next topic of conversation and discussion is about new workplaces. And this is our NEDEX special. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the CEO, India and Marketing Director, Market Development Asia, Colliers, Mr. Ramesh Nair.
Thank you, Jay, Pratik, and Vishal from NAREDCO NextGen for inviting me for this event. It's a short format, around 20-25 minutes. I'll do a quick overview of what's happening in the commercial real estate market, and then we'll take a few questions for 10 minutes. So that's the format I've been told. Talking in between Mr. Hirandani and Mr. Anuj Puri. So that's not a easy thing. I'll just give you a high-level overview of what's happening in the commercial world. Across the country, on an average, you see between 35 to 40 million square feet of office space absorption every year. Across the country, you have around 600 million square feet of grade A office space. If you include grade B, grade B minus, that comes to around 1 billion square feet of 1 billion square feet of office space. So in most Indian cities, the top 6 cities, I'm excluding Calcutta and Ahmedabad from that list. In the top 6 cities, the regular absorption is around 5 to 6 million square feet, except Bangalore, which is around 35-40% of the Indian office market, and it crosses 10 million very consistently. The biggest owner of office space in India is Blackstone. Through their various JV partnerships they have in the country. You look at the top 10 developers in the country today in commercial, everybody has an international partner, whether it is DLF, who has GIC, or if it's K. Raheja Corp, which has Abu Dhabi Investment Authority now, or whether it's Brookfield, whether it is Ascendas Capital Land now, whether it's Tatas, who have just partnered with CPPIB, or Panchsheel, who has Blackstone. So all the top 10-12 developers, Divyashree with Abu Dhabi Investment Authority, all the top 12 developers in the country today has an international partner or is an international player. Coming back, we've seen when COVID started, we kept saying, okay, it's going to be a sharp V-shape recovery we're going to be seeing, and that's exactly what we saw. So on an average, like I said, a good year in commercial is around 35-37 million square feet of demand. We call it absorption. That went down to around 26 million, and from 26 million, it straight away came to 33 million. And this year, it looks like it's going to cross the 37 million odd. What is driving this demand today? One is the pent-up demand. A lot of people didn't take decisions during 2020 and 2021. They were delaying, they were hiring. There was a lot of sectors which are doing well. The entire tech industry was doing well. EdTech, consumer tech, fintech, all these sectors were doing well. The pharma sector was doing well. All these guys are coming back into the market with a bang and taking up office space. The best quarter we have seen in many years was actually the first quarter of this year, calendar quarter, where office absorption actually went up 100%. So typically when the market goes up from year on year, it's around 15 to 20%. But this time around, we saw the office demand actually go up 100%. So last year, same time, we had seen per quarter was 6.5 million square feet. And this year, first quarter, we saw 13 million square feet. So office market has come back with a big bang. It's very important. The 2-3 things I wanted to cover today is one, importance of looking at where construction technology is going. I represent a company named Colliers. We are the largest project management company for commercial office buildings in the country. We are also one of the leading leasing and marketing company for commercial in India. Overall, construction quality is something which we saw how Niranjan Bhai spoke about his experience going to Maker Chambers where they spend their 25 rupees more in the 70s, and how that increased his sale price by 4,000 rupees a few years later. Commercial, it's exactly the same. What we have seen developers, especially from Bangalore, I would say Bangalore developers are the most sophisticated developers in the country, and they don't do anything extra. They spend that 300 or 400 rupees extra on quality. So that's the only thing they do, because they know that their eventual buyer, which is going to be an institutional fund, and today we spoke about all those big names of Abu Dhabi Investment Authority and CPP and IB. These guys are going to hold on to real estate assets at least for the next 10 to 15 years. They're not here to buy an asset and sell it in 3 or 4 years. At that time, when they hold and sell to somebody else, so a Blackstone buys, they will hold it for 7 years, or Brookfield buys, they'll hold it for 7 years and then sell it to a GIC or a CPP. At that time, the quality of the building should be good enough to be sold to get a premium. So those are a couple of things I wanted to talk about. One very disappointing thing for me is this is a young generation, the next gen, is every time I go to a developer's office, I still see very boring office designs. You see those workstations, you see a few conference rooms. I think it's very important for this group to make sure, if you need to attract talent, you need to really relook at, one is, okay, we advising our occupier clients what is required. And today occupier clients are kind of breaking those barriers, new things are happening. But when you also have talent, many of you have from 5,000 to 50,000 square feet of office space, it's very important to attract talent, to retain talent. You change the look and feel of your office spaces, and it's very simple. All you need to do is just call all levels of people in your organization, including youngsters, and ask them what do they want in the design. Just that half an hour which you will spend in brainstorming, just implement that. That's something which is very important. I've seen the occupiers change. I've seen consulting firms change. I've seen even law firms of late changing very traditional industries. We were talking to a tech company recently. Previously, it used to be 80% workstations and 20% collab zones, like meeting rooms and Zoom rooms, what we call today, or cafes and all that. This company has taken a call that it's going to be 20-80. They're just going to have 20% of workstations. Everything else, 80% of the office is going to be collab zones. I just wanted to check one thing here, the audience. I know the audience is mostly young developers or people in the real estate services space. How many of you have actually implemented a hybrid working strategy in your organization? Here, what I'm saying is hybrid is where you've given your employees an option to work out of home at least for a day out of the 5 days. 1, 2. I know how Anuj thinks. That's like 4 of them. Globally, nearly 50%, that's 4, that I'm assuming that will be 2% of this group. Globally, 50% of the companies today are looking at hybrid strategies. And it's very important, if you want to grow your talent base, somewhere you have a thought process around how you can implement hybrid. So hybrid is not working fully from office, neither working fully from home, what we call remote. And it's very important because today there's enough research which says that a job which mentions hybrid or remote anywhere in the job posting on LinkedIn gets 3 times more applications than a job which doesn't mention hybrid or remote. So youngsters want that. Somewhere I know in the real estate development world, it's you need to be in the office doing things, but it's very important if you need to attract talent for future. You need to show them you are a flexible company and you're focused on well-being of employees. Multiple things so that flexibility and freedom becomes very important. Most companies across the world, when it comes to hybrid, one thing is, okay, I'm requesting everyone here, if you can at least start thinking about hybrid. But a lot of your occupier clients, many of you may aspire to do commercial buildings, or you may be already be doing commercial buildings. Most of them globally are today either 4 days of working from office or 3 days of working from office. So remember that. Most of them, you would have seen how that Elon Musk's mail of, if you don't come back to work, you won't have a job, you should find another job, how much of negative thing it created. You would have seen how Apple and Google tried getting employees back and the backlash they had. So just keep that in mind. A few other things which we are seeing is what has happened during COVID times. Work hours have actually increased 13%. This is a research done by Microsoft. And when Microsoft does the research, you need to take them seriously because they have access to our MS Office, MS Teams, MS Word, MS PowerPoint, LinkedIn, everything. So their research is a lot more credible than a Colliers or a Deloitte doing a research. They found out that 13% is you're working 13% more than what you were working before COVID. They found out that meeting times have gone up 150%. So our world has changed. So if we were doing a meeting for half an hour before, now we are doing meetings for like 1.5 hours daily. So meeting times have gone up 150%. Loneliness at work has increased 60%. Previously, people wouldn't feel lonely at work, but today, given all the challenges which is happening, and work friendships have dropped 50%. So these are some of the survey results which came from Microsoft. We did a survey in India. We went to 250 companies and asked them what are their growth plans. And we were very surprised that close to 45% of them said they're looking at growing their office space. Out of that 45%, 30% said we will take a fresh office space, and 15% of them said we will either take a co-working space or a managed office. One request, again, I'm coming back to this point. Next time you look at design for your office space, I know most of you would sit with your father or uncle, many of your family run businesses. Please involve everybody in your organization, including the youngest management trainee or that analyst you have for ideas. And that's what all global companies today are doing. Previously, it would be the CEO or the procurement head or the real estate head who would take that decision. But today, we're seeing across corporations in India or international, multinational companies, where the HR head, the chief information officer, the chief finance officer, everybody is involved in the decision making, and it's not just the real estate team or procurement team. One more request to this group is look for those moments. When I ask this question, how many of you have adopted hybrid? Like 2% of you put up your hands. But look for those moments in your organization. You have a work week. I'm assuming you work around 45 hours, 9 to 10 hours a day. Into 5 to 6 days, 45 to 50 hours. Look for those moments where it's important to get employees together. It's very, very important. Employees are not required to come together all throughout those 5 or 6 days. What are those days? When you have those weekly meetings, when you have those weekly review meetings, or if you're having a training meeting, or where you're brainstorming, look for those moments during that week where employees are actually supposed to come to work. It's very important. Maybe you could ask somebody to look for spaces. You're going to be marketing your spaces. You saw the best marketers in the country. Mr. Hiranandani, you're going to hear Mr. Anuj Puri talk about marketing. It's going to be very important that you have sustainability or green within you, because it is important as an organization point of view to showcase. Now, green is very simple. We all keep talking about green. If you can just look at 3 aspects. If you're building, the lease which you have signed, I'm assuming most of you would have leased an office space from somebody. If it just has those green clauses, there are 5 or 6 green leasing clauses. If you've incorporated that, does your building have a LEED certification? All of you know LEED certification. And third is, does your building get power from a renewable source? I think if you can just do these 3 basic things, I think you've made your first big start in your sustainability journey. It's again an important aspect. Today there's so much of talk around mental well-being, wellness. Please try and read up a little more about wellness ratings. Globally, that's catching up. What we used to talk over the last 10 years about LEED ratings, sustainability ratings, the next 10 years is going to be wellness rating. There are enough consultancy firms who can advise you on that. That again becomes very important. Design on wellness again becomes important. Can you create those small gymnasiums, the small meditation rooms, those small yoga rooms? All this has become all the more important than ever before post COVID. On the hygiene side, please do more research on aspects like touchless features and air filtration. There is enough research available, and today people are looking at it. I was asking my construction team today, how much will it cost to do a top-class sustainability building? They said the number is around 5% more on the construction cost. And I asked my leasing team, how much extra rental will you get? They said it's around 13 to 14% more rentals. So for 5% extra construction cost, if you can get 12 to 13% or 14% more rentals, that's quite a no-brainer. If there is an opportunity in the market for building commercial buildings from a time perspective, you could look at steel buildings. Today, building a steel building would save you around 13 to 15% on the time. But obviously, the cost will also increase by around 10 to 12%. Just keep that in mind. So if there is a time constraint and you want to do the building fast, remember that you can save around 15% of your time by doing a steel building. So offices are here to stay. Offices going forward will become a place where people come to learn, socialize, and connect with each other. And I think this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to look at changing the way an office is. Just one last data point. Globally, office as an asset class, we've heard names like Blackstone or Brookfield and GIC and CPPIB and Abu Dhabi Investment Authority. All these big guys, Qatar Investment Authority, come and invest in office buildings in India. Typically, what we see is around $4 billion in office real estate. On an average, they invest around 5 to 6, of which around 3 to 4 billion of that 5 to 6 is in office real estate. Globally, that number on an annual basis is $400 billion. So there is $400 billion of offices being bought and sold just by these institutional players like APG and Allianz and QIA and all these guys. So that's the size of that asset class globally. In India, we are still very small. But that one thing you should remember is at 35 to 40 million square feet annual absorption in the country, India is the world's #1 demand market in terms of office. Even China doesn't have 35 to 40 million square feet of office space absorption. And that's an opportunity which is there. Every time I have met an Abhishek Lodha or a Vicky Oberoi, they've always said, wish I had built a big office portfolio. If you remember when DLF went through all those troubles back in 2014, 15, 16, where the residential markets had gone down, what came to their rescue was that divesting that 30% of their office asset base to GIC, wherein they got that 10,000 crore check. We saw that again with RMZ selling their very large portfolio to Brookfield. We saw how Prestige sold their big portfolio to Blackstone. So please start thinking office, and there is good opportunity and demand. I'll take a couple of audience questions before we wrap up.
Hi Ramesh, quite insightful things that we've heard from you. So just a quick follow-up. We all in this room, if you ask any developer here, all of us wants to build a commercial portfolio. Who doesn't want a rent yielding portfolio in their company? But the challenge that we face for creating that portfolio, when it comes to residential development, it's a self-funded model. But when it comes to commercial development of a, say I want to do a 2 million square feet development around Mumbai, like where do I get the initial capital and the patient capital for commercial that only will be monetized once the asset is leased. It's only then there will be some monetization because it can't be strata sold. So how do you address that?
So Anuj, if you're looking, let's take 1 million square feet. Today, if you've done a good residential portfolio, raising construction finance at 11.5% is not that difficult. From a construction
Correct.
finance point of view, if you have paid for the land. One good thing about commercial today is LRDs, which till recently now it's gone to around 7.5, was available even at 6.5%. So if you have a rental portfolio, if you do a lease rental discounting of it at 6.5%, you could raise capital. Two. Third, thanks to the office demand from these big players like Blackstone, Brookfield, GIC, all these people, the concept of a forward sale is also coming up. So someone who wants to, let's say, do 1 million square feet or 2 million square feet, I would say look at selling half to one of these institutional funds. If you could show that you have the capability to do the building, you have the right partners, the right project managers, the right civil engineers, the right teams to, leasing is 90% controlled by the 5 IPCs. That's highly outsourceable. Property management again is outsourceable. Project management is outsourceable. Construction is outsourceable. If you can create a story around that, I think finding a forward partner to a forward purchaser to buy half the building is not a problem at all. But you need to have some skin in the game to take it to a level where you at least have approvals, land is in control, and you have approvals in place. It is easily doable if you have a good residential track record. If you're first time, it's going to be tough, but you have a good residential track record, you have done 5-10 years of good quality residential stuff, there would be enough players today. At least 6-7 players I can think of who can come and do a forward purchase.
Hi Ramesh, this is Rishabh here. So when we were talking about the hybrid models, because you said that, developers should think about moving to hybrid models, how do you suggest exactly that we do this? Because, as a developer, we have so many activities that cannot actually run with a hybrid model in place. Talking on field. On paper, everything looks great, but talking on field, these are not the activities that we can control. We would love to work from home, or we would like our employees to work from home, but it's not possible. So do you suggest, or do you have a way that we can actually implement this?
I don't agree at all, Rishabh. If Goldman Sachs and UBS and Bank of America and Wells Fargo, if they can work from home, their data confidentiality would be 10 times, they would be more worried than your data confidentiality, point number one. Second is, Rishabh, what I would do is, I would look at functions where people don't need to come 5 days a week. Maybe an HR needs to come to office only 4 days a week or 3 days a week. Maybe a finance needs to come to office only 4 days a week again. Look at those functions. Who are the people required to come 5 days? Who are the people required to come 4 days? Who are the people required to come 3 days? Third is, you need to give your employees enough technology where they can work from anywhere. We were not ready for this in the last week of March 2020, right? But we got used to Teams and Zooms and all that. So give your employees, instead of working from office, can they work from anywhere, anytime, and any device? If you can create that, anywhere, any time, any device, if you can create that, I think that'll be the first step. So look at functions, like sales guys may not need to come to office every day, right? They have to be in the field, meeting people. Site-based staff, okay, they have to be in the field. I think a detailed analysis around why people should be coming, and make your office hot desking. You don't need to have dedicated desks. Companies like IBM, Accenture, they went hot desking 20 years back. We, as a developer industry, we still haven't gone hot desking. Why do you need to have dedicated desks which are not being used throughout the day? It may be used for 3 hours, 5 hours, 7 hours. If you can have 2 people using it, you save space, right? So globally, organizations like ours, we have saved on 30% space 10, 15 years back by making sure it's hot desking. If there are 80 people in the organization, you provide 45, 50 desks, and everybody just uses it. Only thing is they don't have a nameplate. They're saying, okay, this is Rishabh's space. I think it's very simple, and somewhere we need to make that start. And my worry is also that office design, which is very, very important, and it has to be, look at today, just Google a WeWorks space, or an Apple's office, or just come and you were in our office that day. We didn't spend too much of money on that interiors, but that's what the youngsters want today. And I think the developer community needs to push that boundary a little bit more to get those office interiors going, if you need to kind of attract and retain all kinds of talent for the future.
So, no more questions? Wonderful. Thank you, sir, for that wonderful presentation. Can we once again please thank sir? I now call Mr. Vikas Jain to please join us on stage and present a token of appreciation to Mr. Ramesh Nair.